Here's a little project I want to get stuck into. The bathroom shower. Installed 18 years ago. Oh no, was it 2002? So 16, 17, somewhere along those lines. And it has the most annoying drip. Won't do it now that I'm taking a picture of it. But it steadily goes drip, drip. You can see around there's a lot of limescale. And it can actually be heard through the house. Sometimes it goes drip, drip into the sink, into the bathroom. There we go. Did you see that one or hear that one? A little drip. But that needs to be sorted out. But not only that's not too bad. The other bit of it just doesn't work. This is to turn it on. That's full. That's pathetic. And this is the hot and cold. So hot, hot, hot. And if you feel it, that's certainly not hot. I'll turn the hot on and the hand basin just to get because obviously it's cold. So I'll run the hand basin until that gets hot. It's a combi boiler downstairs, so there we go, that's a little bit of warm coming through. Tends to go warm and then get cooler and then get warm again. I think the initial warmth is because it's preheated water that's in the pipes. But there we go, that's starting to get hot now. So if I turn the hand basin, so no hot water getting through that. Try turning the so I don't think the hot water is getting through at all. Not sure which one of these is supposed to be. If anything, that one feels half a degree warmer than this side. Yeah, that's the hot tap. Definitely feel that's warmer than this. But you see the flow is now even more pathetic. So it needs to be stripped down and sorted out, because it's been like that for about 2 years now. So I haven't been using the shower, and it's not great. It's wasteful of water and energy to have baths every time, whereas a shower is much quicker and you use far less energy. I did manage to get this. Now the strange thing is I have got two of these, two complete units, because a friend years back when we got these installed also had one, and then after a few years changed the bathroom. So all of this was going to be thrown away, and I thought, no, let's keep that, because if I need it for spares or to take apart to see how you take it apart, that'll be useful. So I've got spare plugs, spare everything, and I will first of all take the spare one to pieces, see how it all works, see what kit you need to buy to replace washers and O-rings and whatever inside you need. But I know the first thing to undo is this little cap at the front here to get to a screw, and you start disassemble. There is an Allen and grub screw underneath here somewhere, which I think then takes that bit out. This will unscrew, but that's not going to help in disassembly. So there's a load of concentric circular objects all put together in there, which will be quite fun to take apart and see how it all works, and hopefully get it fixed. Taking the shower head to pieces. Various little steps that I might need to get it all back together again. Grub screw on the back there. This bit is attached to the wall, so that bit's attached to the wall. That comes out. Step one to get it off the wall. Obviously you'd have to undo these two, and then there was another grub screw which I can temporarily put back in there. I tried taking that off, but that didn't do it. So I've now eventually managed to... Where is it? That was on there. And then this was on there phenomenally tightly. I had to mess this up a little bit, but that's okay. See, I had to whack it with a sharp implement. So that comes off there. And then there was a screw down the middle, that little screw. Unscrew that, that comes off. So second step, I'll put that in one place. That number two. Now the little circlip, I think they're called circlips, that was in there, so that can go over there, get that the right way around. So that was the next thing to come off. The next bit to come out was that piece, which was held in place by the circlip. So that came out, and then there's another circlip, this big one, round the back down there, and it was a devil to get out. Absolute maniac thing to get out. I don't think it'll ever go back again. But now, looking down there, that comes off. Oh, and that comes off. So there, oh God, there's another circlip. There's another one here. And then you need to get a massive great spanner, I think it's 46 millimeters, to take that off. But I mean, these circlips, incredible. Look at the hairs. It's managed to get hairs inside the blasted unit. So, is there an easy way to get these circlips off? What I did was, with a, I won't use the compass, that's obviously no good, but I had long nose pliers, and I put long nose pliers in, stretched it, but that wasn't enough. You've got to grab them at the back here, so you stretch those out and then get something in there and pull it this way, and twing, it'll get lost. So this is really a nightmare job, absolute nightmare job, and I don't know what we're going to do with this, because all the thermostat-y stuff is in there. Really, the entire contraption needs to be disassembled. Did that. Okay, this looks like there should have been. There's a little brass plug there, and there's nothing there. So that this grub screw that fits in there will fit in there to stop that bit coming out. There's a groove around the thing there, so I can put that back in there. So I guess the next step would be to try and get that circlip off. God knows how. Next circlip's out. Don't know if it's the same shape and size as the one above. It is. I mean, they've ended up getting bent. I don't know if that... I suppose I can try and force those back into shape in the vise and flatten them. But only a little bit of blood drawn. Scraped it there with the end of the screwdriver. But I haven't got a 46mm whatever. So that's as far as it can go for today. I have some limescale removing stuff here. Professional goo. Phosphoric acid, so I use safety glasses when playing with that. And trying it out on a few bits and pieces in there. I've also obtained a monster-sized shifting spanner or adjustable spanner, which I'm going to take into the garage and see if I can wrench that out. So watch this space. Well, I had to use a little bit of force to get that started. It was in mighty tight, but it's coming up. I had to grip it in a vise, holding it that way in a vise to clamp it tight. This would have been almost impossible without the right tool. I've long ago realised that if you've got the right tool for a job, then things become quite easy. If not, you damage things or take your skin off your knuckles and all sorts of things. So there we go. There's that contraption. There's a kit with washers and things that you buy, which I will investigate. There's a spring which sits in the bottom of that. Check it, looks as it goes both ways. Yeah, there's no top or bottom to that, so we're okay. Then that is an adjuster that obviously either the thermostat, I wonder if that's a thermostat. That's just a little metal object. There's another spring in there. I suspect that spring, that one is the one that expands and contracts. Is that right, do you think? Yes, this top plastic thing, because it's not easy. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. But there should be. There's a thermostat of some sorts in here. And I must remember that it's the reddish end goes in that way. Or is this? Ah, now this might be the thermostatic element. If there's two different metals here that expand differently, so that maybe that centre pin sticks out further. No, that's on a spring too. That goes in, so it's quite complicated. O-ring assemblies, with one round there. So the bit that leaks and makes the tap drip, 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 I'm not sure about, and also this just would not let any water out at all, so it was in a kind of permanently switched off mode. I'm trying to figure out how that works. I have no idea. Now you can buy this what do they call this in the shop when I phone them up? This whole unit comes out, you throw that away and you get another one, but it's 250 quid for that. So I think to buy a couple of quid's worth of tools and some descaler, and I hope the kit isn't too expensive, which has some washers and things. I think it might have circlips in, but anyway, there we go. So that's now out, and we can move perhaps to the next step. Right, just found another stage of disassembly. I was puzzling how it all works together. This bit fits on there, then that bit fits in there, and then the tap goes on there. So that's the main turn on, hot or cold. So it only works for a slight angle. You can't go round and round and round. And then this bit is the device which has the lever on it to do the shower. So I was pulling these apart, and I remembered that there was a little circlip that went just round there, so I thought, well, what's that circlip holding in? And gave this bit a little bit of a tap, and hey presto, that unit comes out, and it has a coarse screw thread on there, almost like a worm thread. So when that is put back in, which it doesn't seem to want to do, there we go. When the tap is turned for hot and cold, it's moving that plunger up and down, which is probably in turn pressing against something. That's going to fit on there, and I think then probably you get all these bits and the springs and the thermostat and what have you. But that's another item. But what I did notice is this is bent. If you have a look at that, and I rotate it very carefully around like this, I think it's quite easy to see that this little milled bit round there is tilted over. So I might not use this piece. I might use the piece for the other. As I said at the beginning of the video, I've got two of these whole complete assemblies. I've got two. One is a spare that was going to get thrown away, which I said no, I'll keep that. I'll look at that one when I take it apart and see whether that is bent, because when you've got the knobs and things on, let's just go like that, it is quite noticeable that that's a little bit sort of askew. You only, as I say, revolve it a little bit. That's for sort of lots of cold, that's for lots of hot. That little thing there stops it going around. I think it's this that sits in there, blocks it, so it will go. Oh, there's a grub screw. Oh yeah, that's it. There's a little grub screw in there that sticks out. So you probably open that grub screw, sort it out so it's in the right position, then put the grub screw back, which limits the relative motion. So, but that's something to investigate. Don't know how on earth. Maybe the chap who got it off the wall when he did dismantling and throwing the whole lot away, he might have used a sledgehammer or something to get it off the wall and has bent that over. But I'm finding more and more each day as how this works. Well, interesting development. Got the fittings off the end of this, and then got the new monster spanner, put it into position around there. I put a rod through here to brace this, because I don't really want to put a massive turning force on this to crack a tile or do something. But I managed to loosen this. Bit of an effort. Foot up against the wall there, and away we went. But as soon as I did it, I noticed a massive amount of water. Now before, when we turned it on, very little came out, but I'll just demonstrate. Obviously I haven't turned the water off at the mains. Let's get this in position. Right, just back this off a tiny turn. And look at that. That's 10 times the flow that it had before. So it makes me think that as the thermostat thing that is pressed in at the back there is just not letting anything come through. Everything is switched off. Moving this a millimetre out is opening up the channels at the back enough to get the water through. So I think the O-rings are not perhaps the most important feature here. The O-rings will be stopping this leak, which you can see is dripping every... There we go, that was one. I think it's that thermostat at the back and the spring action. It's just keeping everything shoved in. But what's strange is it's also keeping the cold flow down. You'd think that if the thermostat was bust, you'd only get cold and it wouldn't let the hot in. But I have no idea. So what I'm going to try is put some of the... It'd be awfully funny. All I needed to do to fix it was to move that half a turn. And if I got the circlips off, absolute piece of cake using the special tool. This one is very corroded. That's horrible. I might use the other one, which is in slightly bit, if I can't clean that up. But let's just have a little look. This one went on first. It's this one here that I think was that way around. Okay, so it's that one that does the shower. So let's see if we it's still not great. And simply that's the maximum. Come on, off we go. But this so fairly conclusive. The insides are not doing what they should be doing. And it will be very interesting to set the whole thing back up again with clean bits. Then away we will go. So, living and learning. Underneath the bath, I was hoping that the pipes, which are these two, would have a tap that I could close off and then isolate. As you can see, it disappears into the wall there, comes up out of the floor, disappears into the wall. So there's no way I can switch that off. So it means switching it off at the main valve downstairs and then trying to do all of this in one go. Because once you take that brass once that brass plug thing comes out, there's no way of going back. You've got to just fix the thing and put it back together again. Otherwise there'd be water gushing out of here. It would go clear across the room, I would think. The kit of O-rings and circlips has arrived, and there are loads of them. I think there are more than I need. There's also, I bought 3 little sachets of plumber's grease to grease everything up. And it's now a case of trying to figure out which of these washers goes where. So we haven't found something for that yet. Which is a bit of a mystery. I'm very sure this one would not stretch round to there. I don't believe that that could have happened. So I think that one's just going to have to go back. Cleaned it up a little bit. Get all the limescale off it. I've cleaned the bed that it sits in. I think that one's going to have to go back where it came from. Well, I've got the other one, the other unit off the wall, and taken out the other piece, the central piece, and this one can be seen to be not bent. So I shall keep this piece. A little washer fell out, a little nylon washer, and I've had a look, and in this case it has actually stayed up in the middle of that, right at the end, so I don't need to take that out. So that'll be a little spare. But because this one is not bent, I'm just cleaning it up a little bit. Of course, now I've turned the water off, so I cannot turn the water supply back on until all of this is assembled and put back, otherwise the bathroom will be flooded. So I filled the kettle and a few containers with water in case I need water for something. Tea, probably the most important factor. But I've replaced a few washers. That one is going to have to stay. It's come out of its seat, goes in there, and it's now, with a bit of grease, it's stuck on there. But that one, I cannot find an exact replacement, so that one is going to stay. And I've put another one. No, I tell a lie. That one's been replaced. 2 have come out so far. These, they're very brittle. If you look at how that one's a bit flexy, but this one is just, rubbish. So some of them do definitely need to be replaced. But so far so good. Right, well, I can't interchange those because it would appear that the bent one and the not bent one are not exactly the same width. Length, well, they look exactly the same. No, I'm going to change that opinion. Yeah, that was the problem. These two bits are not exactly the same length, so I cannot interchange those. These are the bits that I've just taken out. These are the ones I took out some days ago. So what I've done is I've very carefully put this in a vise and straightened it, because that obviously wouldn't work. Now that means that this is the nice O-ring, that's the old O-ring, so I'll try and get that out. Yeah, it seems to be. That one's all right. Yeah, I think that one's perfectly fine. It's slightly fatter, so clearly the fat one will be the one that's tightest. So it's a bit of a fiddle getting these in. Okay, I think that could be used again. So that's now, obviously I have wasted a bit of grease by greasing up the other one. So I'll put a little bit more on there. Then that can go there, and grease up Is that the good O-ring? Feels nice and new. So that well, that took a bit of a struggle, but it's now recessed, that's in. It did need just a little bit of a persuasion by clamping that in a vise and then knocking that a bit. I don't know what was catching, but now you can see the O-ring notch is visible. It's this chappy here. So if I can get that in place very carefully, that seems to be it. So that's in position. I keep doing that, just stupid. And so that now goes in and out quite smoothly. And if we look at the, it might still, yeah, it's still a little bit bent, but that can't. So that is really looking quite good. And now this piece with the O-ring in place, I think I might just grease the O-ring. And then take this to the vise and tighten that up good and tight. Right, that's clamped in good and tight. So I'm going to put a little dab of grease back on that. I had greased this before, but I had to, hang on, a little speck of dirt there. So get that in position thus, so that then when this contraption fits on there, then that will do the shower, turn the water on and off. So that bit's done. Right. The replacement thermostatic valve, the wax chappy, is here. And it looks like this plunger goes in a long way compared to the others. The old one this is the one out of the shower upstairs. It looks completely had it. If you compare it to the new one, there's I mean that's in, it doesn't come out at all, whereas that's got a nice, so I haven't quite figured out exactly how that works, but certainly the new one is nothing like the old one. That reassembling it with that in place, I think, would be a complete waste of time. So getting very close to trying to insert this into the unit. I think I've assembled that correctly. We'll find out fairly soon. Checking assembly order. It's the thermostat valve goes in the center, then this little nylon thing with a spring, and lastly the spring, and then that fits into the unit. Luckily I filmed taking this apart, otherwise I would never have remembered which way around all that went, so that's quite a useful trick. Well, a little bit of success so far, not without problems. I assembled it and forgot to put the main washer between the bit that's fixed to the wall and that, so I took it apart again. But also one of the washers that I replaced just seemed to be too big. I don't think there was the correct size washer in the kit. Anyway, these are all just pushed on, as we can demonstrate there. They're all just, there we are, that's how it is. No leaks. Then right, doing this in one hand is not that easy. Let me just, okay, it's a little bit dark there. I don't think you'll see too well, but this goes, there's another unit that goes on the back there. I tied it all up, but that's just, okay, that's for the flow control. Then that little chap sits on there. There's another circlip to hold this in. And obviously you've got to decide which part of the circle you want it to be. Before it used to be sticking upwards and you'd have to push it round, whereas I think I'll do it this time where it's down, and you can then, it'll be easier to pull it on from underneath, and then that fits there. But the moment of truth, water is back on downstairs. So here we've got masses of water coming out, before virtually nothing. and it's warm, controlling the hot and cold. Obviously if you turn off, if you want more hot, I think it's done by turning off the cold so the flow goes down. So we can we can up that a bit. And here we can see there is superb amount of flow. And the most critical thing, I don't think there are any leaks from that. So I will now try and set it to exactly, the right positions, assemble the other little bits, and after that assembly I might test the whole thing out and have a shower. Everything's back together again, and I put it so that the off flow valve is where it is there at about sort of 7:30. So that means that standing outside the bath, it's easy to get some on there and give it a good twist. And here we've got the water gushing out there. It can come out incredibly fast, which is going to go all over the bathroom if I'm not careful. So maybe try it there. That is way too hot, much too hot, so still too hot. Just hope that little thermostat thing in there is doing what it's supposed to do. Now that, right, so that's the trigger point. That seemed to turn the cold on a bit more. I would say, yeah, that's now a bit cool. So an ideal temperature might be, yep, that's it, hot. Ow, ow, ow. Yeah, it's quite a delicate little control, that. That would be quite pleasantly warm, to a touch too warm. And that will be, now, yeah, that'll be good. If I just pop that into the bath. Now I've certainly got masses of pressure. I think that's more than it's ever been, even when it was brand new. Because the plumber who fitted it, I've no idea where he put those individual little doodads to control it, and I never thought of undoing this and moving it out and putting it in a different position. So it looks like success. Total cost about 30 quid. A new cartridge, 260 pounds full price, 150 if you get it on a sale. And I just want to now test it for a few days, but so far I think we've done things in the right order and it's all back together again and working. Mission accomplished.